Recently, a large number of well-known people in the Rocket League scene, such as SunlessKhan, Thanovic, Lethamyr, Lawler, Sledge, and a bunch of other people, have made their opinions known on the game's current state, and they've been airing their frustration on certain points, and many people are asking the question, is the game dying? This question comes up quite a lot. I've seen it over the years, but usually it's something you just ignore, but for some reason this time, something feels different. And some of you may have noticed it might have been a little while since I uploaded, and while that's not usually out of the ordinary, it's not like it's because I've run out of ideas. I've got plenty of ideas, I just struggle to motivate myself to make videos for a game that people seem to be losing interest in. But why are people losing interest? So to start off this video, let's take a quick look at the timeline of Rocket League from its inception in 2015 all the way to the current point in time. So back in July 2015, Rocket League was released on PC and PS4. Then in September 2015, we got our first season of Ranked. Moving on to November, we got our Mutator Mashup mode, and custom mutators were added to private matches. In December 2015, we had Snow Day added, and then moving on to 2016 in February, the game launched on Xbox One, as well as implementing the Rocket Labs arenas. April 2016, Hoops was added, and then Rocket Labs was given its own individual playlist. In May 2016 was the inaugural RLCS season, which is the esports side of things, and it is a fantastic, enjoyable experience to watch. June 2016 was the big one. Neo Tokyo was added, and you may think that's not a big one, but Neo Tokyo being added was where we got the flip reset mechanic. That was not in the game prior to that update. In September 2016, Rumble game mode was added, along with player trading. In December 2016, custom training was added, along with the Steam Workshop support. In March 2017, Dropshot game mode was added. In August 2017, the maps were all standardized and transparent goalposts were added. The maps being standardized was because we had different maps in the casual and ranked playlists, and then they wanted to make them all uniform so that everybody had a fair game. Then in November of 2017, the game launched on the Nintendo Switch. Moving on to April in 2018, tournaments were added to the game. These were like player-created tournaments, not the tournaments that we know of today. Then moving on to August in 2018, we got player clubs, and this was the halfway point in Rocket League's update history. This was patch 1.5, and we're now on patch 2, or 2.0. So in September 2018, extra modes were made ranked, and then the first Rocket Pass was released. And then in January 2019, the game went full cross-platform. Before that, PC players could play with PlayStation players, PC players could play with Xbox and Switch players, but Xbox players, PS4 players couldn't play with each other. January changed all that. Moving on to April 2019, we got an esports shop, as well as the replay effects. And then in June 2019 was the big announcement that Psyonix were acquired by Epic Games. And little after that, we got the Radical Summer event, which included Ghost Hunt, Spike Rush, and Beach Ball game modes. October 2019, the Party Up button was added, and that's quite important. I really like that feature. And then in December 2019, we entered the Shadow Realm. Yep, the infamous item shop was added, along with blueprints and crates were removed and everything. Probably the single most hated update to date. April 2020, Heatseeker was added, another very popular game mode. And then May 2020, Modes of May, which was Dropshot Rumble, Boomer Ball, and I think Beach Ball and Heatseeker were also added back in. July 2020 was the big free-to-play announcement. That's when they announced that Rocket League was going to be free-to-play. And then in September 2020, that is when free-to-play actually happened. Your progression could be transferred between platforms. The tournaments mode was added for regular queuing up of tournaments, and we also got a Merc hitbox, and that was the biggest update I think we've seen in the game to date. And then in February 2021, Super Bowl 55, I think, celebration was happening, and that launched the Gridiron game mode, which is basically an American football version of the game. And then moving on to April 2021, we got changes to trade-ins, which meant that all eligible items could be traded in regardless of what the series were. And that's really all the major updates that we have seen in the game so far. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I see a distinct difference in the first half of the timeline to the second half of the timeline. Look at all the actual game-changing new stuff we got in the first half. Mutator mashup, Snow Day, Rocket Labs, hoops, flip reset mechanics, trading, custom training, workshop maps, although PC only, drop shot, rumble, tournaments. These are all big game changers in the sense that they have a significant impact on how you play the game, whether it be the new game modes, new mechanics, or just additional ways to train your skills. Now compare that to the second half. We've had a few limited time game modes, which honestly I actually prefer that to the permanent game mode, as it drums up more hype for them when they return and the player counts are larger as a result of that. It's kind of the reason no one plays Snow Day, etc., because there's just really no hype for them. And of course, as well as those modes, we did get the free-to-play update, which, like I said, is the biggest thing and probably the best thing to have happened to Rocket League. And of course, they also brought in the Merc hitbox as well as that with queuable tournaments mode. These are things that were requested for quite some time, but I just feel like it's quite a contrast that I noticed, and I feel like we used to get a lot more than we do now. And I suppose that's kind of expected, because when you first release a game, there's like a ton of suggestions and ideas from within your development team, and you can implement that into the game. But once you've already implemented those, I suppose you've got to think a little bit harder as to what comes next. But it's not like there's a shortage of recommendations, because the community have been screaming for things for ages, such as improvements to custom training, and that's something that the developers have said that they were working on quite some time ago, but just nothing has come to fruition from it. Now, with the game going free to play, it brought in a massive influx of new players, to the point that the servers couldn't even cope with them. It was quite amazing to see. My channel grew pretty quickly at this point, particularly due to my beginner's guide video, which at the time was one of the only ones around. But the biggest strength of this game is also its biggest weakness, and that is that there is no other game like Rocket League, and it is incredibly fun for that reason, and it's a big reason why so many people have stuck with this game for so long. However, the issue with it being so unique is that there are no transferable skills. This means that a lot of the new players that free-to-play brought along were people who enjoy a bunch of other games, and unless they are absolutely hooked on it like you and I are, then when they see the difficulty it takes to actually get good at this game, they're kind of put off. Another issue that turns people away as a byproduct of free-to-play, which was kind of inevitable, is that Smurf accounts are created all the time. Like, a Smurf account is a skilled player playing on a new account to prey on low-skilled new players or to boost their friends, etc. And there's been a large influx of Smurf accounts in Rocket League since the free-to-play issue. And no one enjoys getting stomped by new players who are so vastly superior in skill levels, so when the smurfing issue becomes so prevalent, there are going to be a lot of people who just leave the game because of it. And to Psyonix's credit, they did try to implement some sort of XP level filter thing for new accounts, but it proved to be quite ineffective, because all you have to do is have a party leader over that level and then the Smurf can play absolutely fine. I don't know if they realized that when they implemented this feature, but yeah, it seems to be a bit of an oversight anyway, and I think the developers definitely need to do something more to combat this issue in order for that game to continue to thrive. Another issue that plagues this game and also turns people away is just the toxic nature of the player base. And this isn't really something that's unique to Rocket League, but it's just a lot easier to place blame on others in this game, because you should always be looking at your teammates. So when your teammate messes up, you know it. So when you mess up, your teammate knows it. And it's not something that you really notice in something like Call of Duty, where you're more focused on your own play and not really looking at the others. So as a result of that, the player count since free-to-play and now has diminished massively. Over the free-to-play weekend, I think we saw the player count hit nearly 2 million concurrent players, and now I think we're lucky if we get 500,000. But that being said, that's still over double what the player count was before free-to-play, so that's not at all bad. But the issue isn't with the new players falling off. People will come and go with a free game because it's free and it's fun and doesn't really make a difference. The issue is with the existing hardcore player base, the people who absolutely love the game and it's their main game. These are the people who you really need to keep happy, because they're the ones who are going to keep a free game afloat by pumping money into item shops and everything. And the biggest complaints from the die-hard player base at the moment seem to be regarding the lack of innovation. There hasn't really been anything groundbreaking adding to the game for almost a year. other than maybe a couple of limited time game modes thrown in here and there, which again are very fun, very appreciated, but they just don't really last long enough to keep people excited and happy for longer. Now the ranked grind is the one that we're kind of all familiar with, and it's a tedious one. And I think we can all agree that sometimes you just can't be bothered playing ranked. So what is there to do other than play ranked? You could play those game modes that you got bored of already, or you could train your skills and become a better player. Now sometimes those are fine. Other times you don't really want to train your skills because maybe you're playing bad and you're not really enjoying playing regular Rocket League. And you don't really fancy playing the game modes, other modes, because you're not really into them anymore. So we need more excitement, something that gives us something different. So what do the developers need to do to inject more excitement into the game? There have been many suggestions, and one of the biggest suggestions that's drumming up a lot of attention and a lot of hype at the moment is creative mode. Now that would be an absolute game changer, and would probably be the answer to all of Rocket League's problems. But from what I believe, it might not be possible on the current version of Unreal Engine that Rocket League runs on. Now, a lot of the complaints that we see about the game seem to be directed at the fact that all we seem to get is cosmetic items every update, and a lot of it is becoming repetitive reskin stuff. But when you think about it, every single car in this game is just a reskin. There are only 6 car hitboxes that are unique, and any cars within those hitbox presets behave absolutely identically. So when you think about it, what is the point in spending an absurd $10 to $20 on a reskinned version of something you already have? I think it's the perfect time to reintroduce unique hitboxes. It's something that will spice up the game a little, allowing people to try out new things and actually gives that bit of excitement about a new car being released. Like, how can you expect us to get hyped up about the new Dominus hitbox car when we have like 30 of them already? And what else can they do within the current realms of the game? Why haven't they implemented a team ranked mode where you can queue up with your club and your club gets ranked rather than the individual players in it? This is what everybody was hoping that the clubs and tournaments updates would involve, but it just didn't. And why not fix that damn voice chat that's been broken ever since launch? How much more exciting content could that drum up? I know toxicity can be a problem in the game, but for the most part, I find that voice chat can give you so many more comedic moments that relaxes the atmosphere of a lobby. Or how about improving custom training so that you can add obstacles? If you can't make a creative mode, then at least let people do something with that. This game will always have a die-hard player base, and as long as a game has that, it will survive. So I don't think this game is dying. And I refuse to believe that Psyonix are just sitting there hearing all these complaints and doing nothing. They're very active in the community spaces and they do read a lot of the suggestions that are made. At the end of the day, they're going to want their game to thrive even more than we do, because that's their job. The lack of communication we've had recently, and the lack of actual real hard content in the updates, it is disheartening. And some of that might not be entirely their fault. It's important to remember that we've been going through a global pandemic. People had to change their working practices, working from home, some maybe not working at all. So with any luck, now that we're getting towards the end of the pandemic and things are starting to get back to normal, fingers crossed we don't get any worse, we'll hopefully get some big news soon. And I really do hope it's soon, because I hate to see the player base this disgruntled, because I love this game, and you love this game, and I want my motivation back. So what are your thoughts on the current state of the game? What do you think should be added the most? Have you recently stopped playing and moving on to another game? Maybe you're thinking about coming back? Let me know in the comments, and if you haven't already, please do hit that subscribe button for more Rocket League content. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it. But with all that said, that'll do for now. Sorry it was a bit long and ranty and whatnot, but thanks for watching, and until next time, bye!